This week on the Push for Legs podcast, we talk movies, RDLs with Jesse from Toy Story, and our gym staff really being trained to spot eating disorders. Three, two, one. There's no feta left in Greece now.
Hey guys, welcome to the Push for Legs podcast with myself, Dami.
And me, Tom Hall. What's going on, bro?
I have no idea what that's in reference to. Absolutely none whatsoever.
Absolutely no idea. Dan gave me compliments on my stories because it's far more interesting. Apparently when I'm away from work.
Well, I didn't say that, actually. No, what I said was it's not the most boring thing in the world.
No, it's great. I felt very, very privileged.
Yeah, usually, to be fair, they're a lot better when you go away to Norway and it's snowy. Much better.
Sorry, it's
just you posted pictures of you progressively getting more and more pink.
As opposed to when I'm in the sun, where I'm getting more and more red.
Well, pink, red. You were kind of. You weren't a good colour by the end of the holiday, mate. I'll give you that.
I'm there now, so I mean.
Well, that's what matters. You got it. You got the tan now.
I've had look at those tan lines. Yeah, because I didn't wear Speedos. Yeah, I have tan lines on my legs. Yeah. It was like, but it would have been weirder if I had a pair of budgie smugglers on. Not great, right?
Not a good look, is it, mate?
Not a good look, no. That's why
neither of us can pull that off.
No, I don't think so. What's there? Nothing. Nothing's there. All right,
nothing, mate. Yeah, where's your bikini top?
Great. But yeah, had a lovely time. Quad biking. Sunsets, Oya, Vera, food, right, okay, so I drank every day, it was pretty good, not surprising apparently from Dan. Wine every day, it was good then. Had some weird ouzo, disgusting, what is
Minging.
That? It is absolutely awful, minging, love it. And then I had some other weird shot, I think 2 or 3 of them, because the waiter kept on giving us them, and it was like warm, cinnamony crap, and they were like, oh yeah, we felt obliged to do it.
Of course.
I was like, do you sip it or do you shot it? And he was like, we shot it in Greece. I was like, brilliant, alright, cool.
Is that Greek accent?
Yeah, that was the Greek, yes. That was the racist. Okay. Was it? Okay.
I don't know. But like, I remember once I got given an ouzo once when I was on holiday, I think, and the guy I was like, well, it's awful. And he was like, oh, if you want, you can add water to it. And it's not as strong. And I was like, yeah, but it's the taste of water, mate. I was like, why would I want to put water with it and make it last longer? I was like, no,
a long ouzo. Nobody's always asking for that. It's like, it's bad Sambuca, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awful Sambuca. I mean, if you can get that. I mean
that's bad anyway.
But yeah, I think ouzo, like, they actually supposed to put water with it. And it goes cloudy, doesn't it? If you put water with it.
Yeah, that's what we had.
Oh, I was just awful.
I had like a full-on like glass of it, and it was just like, this ain't right at all.
And then I bet you had, shitloads of lamb kebabs, feta cheese, and rice.
Oh mate, probably. Like so this is what I said about the food, and everybody's like, yeah, did you enjoy it? I was like, yeah, I enjoyed the food, but so I said to Dan, I was like, after about 5 days, I was done like with their food. I'm just absolutely longing for some like barbecue sauce, some sort of spiciness somewhere, just like something's. No offense to Greek food, I do like it, but it's just very creamy or kind of plain. It's
quite
fine.
Offensive, isn't it?
It's But what was interesting is actually like I can see it being incredibly easy there. Like if you're not into fish, to be vegetarian. And you're just eating like feta and all these like leaves and all this stuff, and it seemed very easy. Like yogurt, all the tzatziki, lots of vegetarian dishes, which was pretty easy. And they were quite tasty. So I thought it was actually reasonably okay. And it was just because all the meat is always grilled, and it's kind of like, oh great, could you? Yeah, is it cooked any other way? Or
it's just dry forever.
Okay, I had a bit of souvlaki, I think is that what it is? Like moussaka. Basically moussaka is Mediterranean shepherd's pie, or lasagna, I guess, of some sort, with like an eggplant. Eggplant?
You mean aubergine?
Aubergine, yeah.
Because you're British, not American.
I was trying to think of the word aubergine, but yeah.
But Aubergine.
Yeah,
there you go.
You've done it, mate. That's why you're here. That's why we're such a good pairing, Dan. Just two minds.
Spend too long watching the NFL, you. Problem. Speaking of which, NBA playoffs this week start.
It is.
Finals. Right. Big one.
Who are you hoping wins?
I mean, Golden State are probably going to win. I want Toronto to win just because they're the underdogs. Everyone always got like the underdog, haven't you?
It's classic.
Golden
British.
State just
Golden
spend
State
loads
all the time. Yeah, so.
They've just got the best players, so it's like, well, obvious they're going to win, isn't it? But yeah, anyway.
See what happens.
People wouldn't have known you were on holiday last week, Tom, because we planned the podcast so well. No one would have known if we hadn't told them.
Yeah, at least
the foresight there. The foresight there is so good.
It's like, almost like we worked for
it. The things we think about for you, the listener, for you, we did all that for you, so that your Wednesday would be as normal as it could possibly be.
I know. We don't want to shake anybody up, right? It's just routined.
Those 3 people, mate, on a Wednesday morning would have been devastated without
that. Bonkers, mate. But we have some things to talk about. As always, we will delve in. Yeah, because last week was no fitness talk, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, just lovely. It's nice.
We've got more mental health stuff to talk about this week. I mean, we turned into a mindset podcast.
Push-pull legs mindset. Push-pull mindset.
Doesn't work, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't roll off the tongue very well.
Doesn't roll off the tongue.
No. Well, there definitely podcasts about that, but we'll give our opinionated view, I guess. Speculative
Correct view.
Speculative view.
Our view.
Yeah, our view of whatever the stuff. So I think we've got. So Dan wants to argue about some butt and hamstring work, but in layman's terms.
Don't argue about it. I just want to.
Argue it. We'll talk about it. Yeah, that's fine. We also within the Facebook group, I believe, we got sent a mental health topic covered by the BBC, about Birmingham University. So it was very interesting. We could probably read out the comments on what people have discussed, and then what we said. I think we kind of reiterated each other. So boring, but yeah, we can delve down different views if we really want to. But yeah, mate. Also, first thing off the bat, like you didn't vote on my DiCaprio trio thing. The helmet.
I didn't see it, mate.
Did you not?
No.
Do you? Right, I was basically having a topic was what would you binge watch in certain like categories. You only had to like pick 3, and then it came on to actors, and we like settled on DiCaprio is a fairly decent actor with a lot of good films. And what 3 DiCaprio films would you pick to watch, or are the best?
I don't really like him enough to care, to be honest.
I mean, the choices were alright. Number 1 was it was The Beach, Shutter Island, and Django. And the other choices were Wolf of Wall Street, The Revenant, and The Departed.
Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street.
So you're going to go for that one because you're a come as me like, what have you done for me lately, boy? 100%. Dan's never heard of the other ones.
No, but then I also like him in Catch Me If You Can. That's older.
Very true. This is what we like. So I got absolutely rinsed on this pile.
But Wolf of Wall Street's a good film as well, though.
It's an alright film. It's not fantastic.
Wow.
It's not as good as Django. 1000%. Shutter Island's like a psychological thriller. But yeah, I got absolutely piled. 68%.
Quite rightly.
Yeah, it was not great. But it led me into interesting, if you were going to pick like a binge watch of movies, what would you pick?
Star Wars.
Every
day.
See, so did I. I've recently did the Unbreakable trilogy, which was pretty cool to binge watch. Unbreakable, Split, and Glass. Just if anybody hasn't seen that, like go watch Split. It's unbelievable with James McAvoy. But yeah,
Split one with personalities, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's
got like 25 personalities within one person.
Very good actor.
Yeah. And then like. I think so. Glass came out this year. It's Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson.
I'll tell you what classic film I watched the other day for the first time.
Yeah,
The Meg.
Yeah. I've not watched it, but isn't it ridiculous? It's surely like one of those like super shark versus tornado.
Yeah, but it's just like, it was just one of those where it's just like, you have to watch it for just the comedy value of like how it's not a comedy, but it actually kind of is a comedy. Basically, they go to the bottom of the sea and they realise that it's not the bottom, and there's this like mythical layer underneath it, and that they just go into it, and then because they've got into it, there's a big hole in it, and then all these prehistoric creatures come out, and then there's this big shark.
Big shark. What
they called?
Megalodon?
Megalodons, that's it.
Something like that, yeah.
Comes out and eats everything, and they kill it, and Jason Statham, of course, swims away from it in the sea and doesn't get eaten.
Is it?
You know, yeah, of course he does. Of course he does, mate.
Mate. Like, Jason Statham's got talent.
Yeah, Jason Statham's a man, so it was quite funny. I wouldn't watch it again, I have to say. But yeah, anyway,
off topic, mate. Yeah, what do you want to talk about? RDLs?
Well, yeah, I was going to talk about RDLs. Like, we just had our training workshop, and
this is one I wasn't invited to, and I know one of your clients wanted me there.
Really?
Yep.
That's not what I've heard.
I thought definitely was.
Whatever. Mate, feel free to come to the next one. Feel free, come along, mate. You have to pay for like everyone else. That's fine. No, but we put a training workshop on for our clients. Like we're doing that now every sort of, I think, 8 to 12 weeks, so that we can check everyone's form, like, sort of go over the basics, fundamentals, and stuff. And we went over RDLs, and like, I think everyone assumes that RDLs just work your hamstrings basically because they just hurt after you do them. And we got into a discussion about the hips and the role of your glutes in the hips and all this sort of stuff. And I just basically made the case for RDLs being primarily a glute-based movement, that if done properly, correctly, using, you know, mind muscle connection or all that sort of stuff, if you think about your glutes and you think about using them and you lengthen them and shorten them, it's a much better exercise for your glutes than it is for your hamstring development. Full hamstring development requires you to be doing hamstring curls so that you get it in a fully shortened range, all that sort of stuff. And the reason that people feel RDLs in the hamstrings a lot of the time is just that you are putting the hamstrings in a stretched position with a stupid amount of load, and you're just causing muscle damage, which, yeah, is somewhat important potentially, and you're going to create some sort of tension there by slowing that movement down, holding it or whatever. But actually, the primary mover of that movement is the glute. This is my opinion, obviously. This is just, I'm sure Tom will go, no, you're wrong, because that's what Tom likes to do. But I think that when done properly, with the hip hinge, that doesn't look when done properly with a hip hinge, when you squeeze your glutes and you think about what you're doing with that movement, you can get amazing, like, DOMs or whatever you want to call it, in your glutes, more so than your hamstrings. And I think the reason that people get hamstring DOMs so much with them is that their hamstrings just have to catch the movement effectively, and that's why you get sheer amount of muscle damage there. But actually, if you were to lower the movement by first squeezing your glutes and then slowly reducing that amount of squeeze you have on your glutes, you would lower the weight using your glutes, not necessarily your hamstrings, and you will be able to shift more load. You'll be able to perform it safer, and I think you would feel it less in your hamstrings if you concentrated more on your glutes. But a lot of the time I see people do it, they don't even think about their glutes, they just think about their hamstrings all the time. So I put the poll out about which muscle group does it work primarily, and based on the movement of hip extension, I would say it's primarily a glute-based movement with a fair amount of hamstring work obviously involved as well. But it's just interesting because I think a lot of the time people just associate pain or DOMs with the movement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, Dan.
There's a lot of caveats.
I mean, would you like me to explain the caveats demonstrating with Flynn Rider, or Jesse from Toy Story, or Jack Skellington? Well, I've got a Wampa.
Whichever you prefer, Tom.
Let's go Jesse from Toy Story.
They can't see this, Tom.
They can't see this, but alright, everybody, I'm holding a cuddly toy up. So Dan, basically, this is what I have to do for Dan to explain movements when he asks. Get where did he touch you? But yeah, because so I think what a lot of people don't realise, the hamstring is biarticular. It goes over your knee and your hip. It's madness, right? So Jessie's actually pretty good. She ain't got a big quad though. Look, that's tiny. Yeah. Compared to a calf, it's not good. Not very anatomically correct, that mate. But you said hip was the prime mover. There, yeah. But you said the muscle damage would happen. So this is the argument, like, so it's like a stretchy your hamstring over your hip and your knee. If you've only got to manipulate one joint at a time, this is where people fuck themselves up and think that hamstrings move well, they do move, but nothing happens during a squat, right? That's where you don't feel your hamstrings really squat. Even though the distal and the long headline move at the same time. So if you bend your hamstring and you bend your hip at the same time, nothing happens. Nothing happens. It just kind of moves up.
Yeah.
Moves up. Yeah. So when you're going for an RDL, because obviously you've got like your leg cup, and you're thinking if it's distal or proximal, it's probably a little bit more distal proximal to your bum that you're feeling in your hamstring, and then it's like distal when you're going through a hip hinge. So your hip flexion, you start feeling distal of your hamstring. It's where it's creating so much torque, is what your pals say, isn't it?
Torque.
It's all about torque, right? It's definitely about torque at the moment. Definitely an in thing, mate. But yeah, and also the muscle damage, I think I said to you before, it was just because, generally speaking, even though the hamstring and the glute are working at the same time, where's Jesse? Yeah, because obviously the hamstring is just like long and thin, it hasn't got a bigger surface area. I think we all know the glute is the biggest muscle in the body. Right, Dan? Yeah. He's mesmerised by Jesse.
I'm just looking at our ass, mate.
Yeah. So the hamstring's like really thin. Well, obviously there's like possibly three of them. What do you think, Dan? Possibly. Some people put adductor magnus in the hamstring group as well. So this is where Luke was coming down on, right? Muscle Mentors Man. Is the fact that adductor magnus is the guy that helps with all that hippie stuff. Is probably the guy that's going to contribute most in conjunction with the hamstring, according to my biomechanics professor. And yeah, because that gets the most muscle damage because it's really thin and it hasn't got as much surface area because it doesn't get as much blood repair as the glute does, which is pretty obvious if you have like a big, like long, big plate spread over evenly. It's not going to get as much damage as a very like cracking a small thing. Pretty simple. It works in the body as well. It's mental, isn't it, mate? But I would argue, I would concur with you, Dan. I think the main powerhouse of that exercise is the glute.
That's what I was referring to.
Okay. This is where we talk. It was like when you said adductors to me before, and I was like, yeah, but they have to work in conjunction with. They can't really do it by themselves.
My point about it all is, when I say the primary, like when I say the muscle that's primarily involved in the movement of an RDL, like I said, it's not to say other muscles aren't working or aren't affected or aren't used or don't even grow from the movement. It's what is causing that primary movement, and with the amount of power and strength, all that sort of stuff, to create that movement. And like you said, you agree with me because I'm right. It's the glute.
I just think because it's only over one joint, it has to be the thing that works as well. I was like, the hamstrings also wants to do knee flexion.
And this is the thing, is that this is what I basically was explaining. I was basically explaining that to get complete hamstring development, or for a lot of people, to get actual proper, I compared it to the biceps, and I was like, basically, if you imagine, if I was to give you a dumbbell and just go, right, just constantly lower it with your bicep all the time, you wouldn't get as much development as just doing that with a heavy weight than if you perform the concentric movement as well. And I was like, the problem with people, I find with people, is that they don't do enough hamstring curls. They rely on an RDL, and then they wonder why they have shitty looking hamstrings. Well, actually focus on doing hamstring curls a couple of times a week, and when you do your RDLs, think of it as a glute movement rather than hamstring. All of a sudden, the amount of hamstring volume that you can do will drastically increase, because when you do your RDL, you'll focus more on your glutes rather than your hamstrings. You'll find that your hamstrings won't be as sore from doing RDLs because you're actually going to use your glutes, which, as we've talked about, will recover quicker, they're a lot stronger, can handle more load. And you'll then be able to train your hamstrings more frequently in the shortened range, in the concentric movement, and therefore get better progress with your hamstrings. Again, it's just like my basic level knowledge. Like, my level of knowledge is nowhere near other people's. But if I know that, like, it's like, yeah, it's pretty like basic. But it's that whole thing of people associate muscle damage and pain in DOMs with what the exercise is
get
doing.
So much more growth as well.
Yeah, it's like actually the hamstring. A lot of the time with hamstring curl movements, you don't need a lot of weight to really train your hamstring through its full range and fully squeeze it and fully contract it. But yet people load up an RDL with 100 kilos and think they're training their hamstrings. Like, no, you're just training if you're doing it properly, your glutes a lot of the time. I think it's just another area to think about when it comes to hamstring development and glute development, because the other aspect of it is when you do single leg RDLs. When I used to do single leg RDLs a lot of my time with my clients, they'd be like, "Oh my god, my glutes are really sore from this." I'm like, exactly, because you're not got a huge amount of load that your hamstrings just catching in the movement. The reason your hamstrings get sore is because of the huge amount of load, and it just basically is in a stretched position. Whereas as soon as you go to a lot less load and you actually do the movement properly, everyone says, "Oh my god, I feel like my glutes."
I feel like with RDLs as well, I very rarely program bilateral RDLs. If I'm honest, I do. We come from a footballing background, so we've been beaten to hell with doing as much hamstring work as possible because that's the thing that goes the most when running. It's under high force, not high torque, high force over a short amount of time. But I think there's more beneficial doing the single leg stuff and the offset and the B stance rather than the bilateral stuff, because I feel like you do automatically load it up more than you probably think you should. And also, even though it is mechanically an easier movement because there's not as much happening than like a deadlift, there's not a stop and start to it really. It's kind of flowy. It just bloom, 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 bloom. You kind of just go up and down, and people tend to lose any kind of depends on your perspective, whether your lumbar should flex or not. I come from, let's go joint by joint model, that it's going to be like a stable position, so I don't really want it to move, and that's where I feel like your hamstring range has given up, so that's the end of it. And people will just jolly old flex down there, won't they, Daniel? Which isn't great. Which some people can, 100%, and their hamstrings go on for absolutely days, but chances are there's not much point to it. You won't be able to get out from that movement. It's just going to be like, ooh, back. Brilliant. All right, wonderful. All right, switch to a B stance, decrease the load by about 30%, and play with that. Absolutely fine. Nothing. I just
think it's worth people thinking about with them. Like I said, with their training, everything they do. I just think it's. Like I said, I just think people don't consider the movements they're doing. They just think what hurts. They just think what hurts. It's like from doing it. It's like
RDLs. When I've done them, I've had them in recently, but I've banded them as well.
Yeah.
So I stand on the band, put it over the bar, so the band is both under both my feet, and so I get the hip extension movement is the most dominant and overloaded position. That's what I'm trying to train, and then hamstring stuff's going to be like Nordics and GHR. I don't spend that much time on the hamstring machine. Believe it or not, you don't have to. You can do like hamstring bridges. You know how you do a glute bridge? All right, flip over the other way, put your leg where you'd normally put your shoulders, and magic, you're doing distal hamstring instead of proximal glute.
Yep.
Crazy. I know. Just manipulating the body, man. And then, pump through that. Be absolutely fine. Or do some like towel slide stuff. Swiss balls are cool for it. TRX. We used to do a crap ton of TRX hamstring stuff, didn't we? I don't do that much anymore, to be honest. I do a lot of like, just put some towels on a slidey floor, or those valve sliders, and then you're lying down and you're going in and out with you're only bending your knee. This is where we're saying with those movements where you're lying down, they get absolutely annihilated because really your hip should be again only staying in one position, and you end up flailing your hips around or not keeping them in extension. Okay, so not keeping them like tucked under is where you need. Whereas then they just kind of droop, and then people are like, "Oh, I don't really feel it that much." I'm like, yeah, because you're doing it wrong. We're trying to keep you up there, but there's that could be it's 100% usually a strength issue, so that they have the ability to hold up there. But yeah, go look at that kind of stuff. That's going to get way more hamstring development now, like than just your RDL stuff as well. I think not to brag about our hamstrings too much, Dan, but I'd say they're pretty damn developed.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing is, again, without that's if without blowing my own trumpet. But yeah, like I looked at it the other day and I was like, a lot of people who focus on RDLs have just got very straight up and down hamstrings, and actually to get like an actual muscle belly, again, you look at it and go, okay, well, I've trained a lot in that short and range. You train a lot in that curl position, and there's a lot more muscle there than just doing, like I said, RDLs. I just think it's worth thinking about for a lot of people. There you go. That's all I wanted to say on the matter.
Amazing. Good.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. I am amazing.
Yeah. What are the hamstrings? Quick quiz.
Oh, I can't remember, mate. I'm not even going to pretend to know.
Semi...
Tendinosis.
Yes. And then semi...
Membranosis.
Then what's the last one?
Not a Dr. Magnus. Biceps femoris.
There we go. Biceps femoris.
I do kind of know. I just made it up.
That's the classic PT joke. I'm just training my biceps. Bicep femoris. Oh, right. Hamstring day. All right. Enough that boring fitness chat, mate. Let's talk mental health, because that's our real. Yeah,
because we're getting too deep with that.
Enough butt stuff. We got a ridiculous stupid things on the internet as well, because it's just mental. This isn't what it is. All right. So I think is he still your client? I can't believe he can still be your client, James. Maybe.
Yes, he is still my client, yeah.
Jesus, James, if you're listening, how long have you been with Dan?
I know.
Wow. Like,
too long.
It's far too long.
Oh, well. What can you do?
Poor bloke. All right.
Poor bloke. I agree.
All right. So this article, fitness coaches trained to tackle mental health issues, okay? Would you class yourself as a fitness coach, Dan?
Apparently,
I'm not too sure. I think these fitness coaches are the level 2 guys. If we're really being technical, they're the guys that just kind of look after the gym, tidy up a bit, give inductions.
No.
So a girl called Holly Moyes almost died. I said that weirdly because the spelling's a bit odd, so I don't really know what it is. Died at the age of 21 when anorexia led to dangerously low body weight and a start of organ failure. After the breakup of a long-term relationship a year before university, Holly became obsessed with exercise and body image. She now wants gyms... What? Almost died. I was like, she's died. She now wants gyms around the country to train staff about eating disorders. They should, I guess, and raise awareness of mental health issues. Did you watch the video? I did. It's a bit weird.
I didn't watch the video, no.
I did watch the video. So, did my research, mate. Knew we were talking about it. Brilliant. So, Birmingham University Gym, the guys that are going to start to implement this, I believe. I don't know why that's happening. Yeah, so, this is... Should we read out some of the comments that were left in the group? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just getting it up now, the thing in the group.
I mean... I think we both said that it's going to open a can of worms, to be honest, because I think the premise is correct, and maybe people should be more aware. But the issue is that fitness coaches and personal trainers don't stay in their fucking lanes, and there is an abundance of unsolicited advice from people anyway within the gym who think they know more than you, or think they know something about... They may have read an article, they may know something, they have a friend who was like this, so therefore they can tell you about that anecdote, or they have a general understanding or a very snippet of knowledge about it. And then that turns into, I'm going to bullshit my way through this conversation, and then that leads to crap, potentially like life-threatening advice. If they're in if they actually have a mental illness, then that's, and you're not referring out to somebody who's more qualified to actually say, or it's just the referring out thing. And if they don't, then it's incredibly offensive.
I just don't think you're ever going to be able to know what's going on, because I think whenever I've seen things about anorexia before, like watched Louis Theroux and stuff, and he spoke to these people, like, they say, I hid it for years. Like, I hide it. They would be in the gym with like full length trousers on, hoodies on, so you wouldn't really be able to see maybe how skinny they were, also, or whatever. I don't.
If anybody hasn't watched that Louis Theroux, he did do he went into like a clinic, didn't he? It was all anorexia, all that kind of stuff.
He went into,
and it was also they went into how actually bodybuilding and gym was a coping mechanism for a lot of them as well.
So let's say, for example, you know, they're in there like that, and a PT comes over and is like, if I saw someone, to be fair, if I was back in the first place, I saw someone come in 3 times a day for weeks on end, I'd be like, oh, you're training pretty hard, what are you training for?
Yeah.
And I'd say something like that, and they might be like, oh, you know, just keeping fit, or they might be like, I'm training for a marathon. They'd just lie to you, and you would just go, okay. And I wouldn't think that was very weird if I saw them doing that, and I'd explain that to them, and you'd just be like, oh, they just train a lot. And unless you saw, you know, unless obviously a female trainer saw them changing. But again, I think they would change at home. They wouldn't be that obvious about that sort of thing. And the thing we have to remember with this is that it's a mental illness. It's the gym thing with it is just the way that they I suppose deal with it. But it's much the same as saying, well, their colleagues at work should be trained in order to spot it, because it's a mental health issue. It's like, how many days off at work are they having, and all these sorts of things. And I just don't. It just the headline annoyed me for a start. Gym staff trained to spot eating disorders. It's like, it's a ridiculous headline. Like, trained to spot eating disorders. What, in the gym? You're not going to ever spot that in the gym. It's like, if you had disordered eating, you wouldn't be... Well, A, no one eats in the gym anyway. And it's like, to suggest that just because someone's leaner or trains a lot, that they have an eating disorder is potentially damaging. Like I said to you, with the whole thing of approaching someone going, oh, you know, I think you might have an eating disorder. Obviously not going to say that, but...
But what are they going to say?
Well, no, exactly.
What are they going to say to get to that?
I think they're going to flag
get to that opinion and get to that like acknowledgement of like, actually, I think you do.
It could just be so damaging to someone that, imagine if you said that to someone and they didn't, and they would then be like, shit, am I really that? Do I look that bad, or do I look that lean or skinny, or do I look that ill, or whatever the theory is behind this whole thing of like whether you can spot it. And I just think it goes back, like I said, my exposure to it is purely from watching something like Louis Theroux and getting, because obviously he's very, very good at getting into the mental side of it and talking about it, and it's just the way they all discuss it, and it's like it's either a controlling mechanism, or it's a you know, in their life it's something to do with the emotion. It's mental. It's not about training.
It's not about food. It's 100% mental illness.
That's their controlling mechanism, and it's just a bit. Like a few of the comments have said in here, it's like some of these people can't fucking even teach someone how to do a bench press, never mind spot these sorts of things. And I think it's, what level is someone training too much? Like Joe put, I think the issue is as much to do with the trained to, or what level of training, and you know, they're trained to be able to spot someone who trains more than twice a day. Oh God, you can just look at that in the gym log, like when they come in and stuff. I just think it's one of those where you just have to be able to refer out and suggest things, but at the same time, like, it is very, very hard to I don't know, like, if someone came to me, if I was a trainer, or if I as an online coach, someone comes to you who is clearly doesn't need to lose any weight, and they say, they want to lose weight, you have that discussion with them, and you go, well, okay, I don't think that's the wise thing to do. Like, you're probably not in a great place to do that. But a lot of people come to online coaches, or have come to me before, people, because they've gone, no, I have had that issue, I now don't, and I want to put on weight, and I need someone's help and guidance to do that safely and properly. That's different, because I think that, as I've said, I think they're very good at potentially hiding any issues they've got, and I just think that a gym coach or trainer going over to say something is just not a good way of going about it, because they'll just, as Hannah said in her comment, she just put, if you ban them from the gym, well, they're just going to go somewhere else, to another gym. They're going to go do something else. They're going to run outside or whatever. But then likewise, is being ridiculously overweight unhealthy? Yes. Should you ban them from the gym as well? Well, no. Like, they're there for a reason. And they, for all you know, someone who is going through an eating disorder may be trying to bulk up by doing weights. They may be doing it for that reason, that they've heard they need to keep their muscle. I don't know.
Because they could be doing strength training, because the fact is that probably they would be malnourished if they had that, and therefore osteoarthritis, osteoporosis is a real thing, and it could happen. For me, it's a complete no-go. I'm not suggesting that it shouldn't get more
airtime and it shouldn't be discussed more. Not what I'm saying at all, but I do think the whole thing of like level 2 per
I think maybe I think like maybe you bring some within your team at the gym. You have someone who's a proper expert who comes in to talk about it, and then to make people, I guess, more aware of the subject if it does arise. Because I think people wouldn't even have a clue, really. That to be honest, like apart from degree, like I haven't touched upon it since I've been outside of education, and I don't know actually. We don't particularly talk about it within third-based education because it's not in the personal trainer's remit. It's like if we think if there's a possibility or it's showing symptoms or signs of, then it's like, all right, we have a medical department to refer to, or you refer to GP, or you go that route straight away. But it's very hard to. I wouldn't know because I've not had the experience. I'm not like speak out my arse. I wouldn't know how to approach that subject very well. I've approached the subject that you're too overweight. This is dangerous for your health, 100%, because that's very easy to do with like the figures, and you can kind of get somebody on the scales anyway. Usually when they're overweight, I'm not too sure the other way around is that great.
Yeah, I just don't know happy about it, to be honest. But
it's just a bit tough, mate.
Yeah, of course it's tough, and obviously all these things are always tough. But it's just not something I think is worth trying to broach, to be honest.
No, I think if you're training,
that sounds bad. It is something worth broaching. Of course it is. Not on the gym floor, is what I mean.
Yeah,
ridiculous. But yeah. Anyway, that's that.
That is that, mate. All right. Did you wanna? I just sent you stupid things on the internet.
I just wish you'd have sent it so we got my live reaction to it, because it was. I mean.
So obviously, I go play with my family of dogs reasonably frequently, and I just sent Dan a photo of something that I'm obviously liking dog posts on Instagram. Absolutely fine, and then this popped up on Sunday. I think when I was sitting outside with my dogs on Instagram. So, sponsored post. Keto Pet.
Keto Pet.
Non-profit organisation. Yeah, because they're not making money, because bullshit. Smart dogs eat keto. Tag us at Keto Pet or hashtag Keto Pet to be featured. Read our free ebook. Better be free. So smart dogs eat keto, Dan. Discuss.
If smart dogs have owners that feed them keto, the smart dogs would bite their owners and leave. A dog's going to eat whatever you put in front of it.
Let's be honest.
Chocolate kills dogs and they still eat it.
Yeah.
So, there you go. They're not smart, are they? Ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like, whatever the owner decides to give it, like the dog's going to eat. They don't have the the know-how of knowing whether they're keto or not. Also, but I mean, this is the issue before, like, for keto for people. Are they tracking it? Like, are they literally going to take their bloods or their whatever samples, urine samples, to try and find whether they're in ketosis? And for what benefit? I don't understand. Why?
No.
Why do you want to enter ketosis with your dog?
It's got better clarity then, hasn't it? The dog's got better clarity. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we can chase its sticks better.
Take its sticks better. It's going to have better quality of life, obviously, because it knows it's producing ketones and not
ridiculous.
Just having some.
That is the world gone mad. But do you know what though? Do you know what that is? Do you know why it's hilarious? The reason it's so fucking hilarious is that it just shows how fucking stupid some humans are, because they'll believe in the keto diet so much they'll give it to their fucking dog. Like, it just shows you how stupid some people are who follow the keto diet. That's what it shows you. It shows you, because that's what it's aimed at.
But this is the thing, right? So that surely this is a diet that kind of says the connotation of losing weight. This doesn't say anything about. This is just dogs eating keto. It's not about like being in a whatever dog calorie.
Oh, I know. But again, like I said, the reason they're doing it and the reason they've cottoned onto it is because they know that people who do keto are so fucking bonkers and so in their cult that they'll do it. They'll do it. That company will be making a huge profit. I can guarantee you that.
It's non-profit, mate. That's what it says.
Well, they're giving a lot of money to charity then, I bet. But like, they will be making sales. They will be, 100%. They will be. They've got money to put on Instagram ads, mate. Like, ridiculous. I kind of got no words.
I'm pretty sure a dog left to its own devices will eat what the crap it like, whatever it.
It licks its own arse and its own
penis. It
penis.
just goes and eats it'll just sniff its own poo. I've seen one of my dogs throw up and eat it again.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is that keto? Probably.
Probably is. Yeah. Not great, is it?
Ridiculous. That's the keto fucking diet. My diet's flexible diet. Yeah, he fits in what he wants in his macros, mate.
Yeah. Sweet.
What are your macros? Whatever he wants them to be.
Absolutely bonkers. All right.
The world is mad.
Let's end it there, dude.
That's done. That's the podcast done.
All right. I want to know. I might put some more polls out on movies because I enjoyed that and hated people's opinions. Interesting. Me versus you. It'd be interesting to see what we come up with.
I might do more on exercises and mechanics and movements.
Nah, you don't need to do that. That's no fun.
That's no fun. You're right. I can't wait to tell these 80% of people on my Instagram poll they're wrong.
So that's interesting. Yeah, train the powerhouse of muscle, man. Just train your bum. It's all good. All good. I thought that was in at the moment as well. Just training bums. It's all good.
Just training bums, mate. Isn't it? All about the bums.
Bum mechanics. All right. Any other business, mate?
No.
None. Not from me either, actually. I haven't really got much to discuss. There's some interesting stuff coming in the next. I don't know. I'll be doing a fair few bloody courses over the next few months, so reviews on that and whether they're worth it, basically, which would be interesting. We should also get a guest on. If anyone wants to message us that you want to come on, joking, don't do that. If you know somebody who we should probably invite on, then let us know. Dan.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
I know. We should probably get Michael Goldrum to talk about talk.
Yeah.
Talk about talk. Brilliant.
I bet you he'd say the RDL was not even using the glute or hamstrings at all.
No, just all about adductors, isn't he?
Probably be like calf or something. No,
he'd be like, well, you have to attach a band here, therefore it's not going to do anything. We like Michael, so it's good. All right, we will catch you next week.
See you later.